Yeah, there's something I've been talking about lately, and today's a really good day to do a video on it. Hate. The absolute sheer and complete total hate for the Boston Bruins. They're the meaning of everything being evil in this world. They're the reason we can't have nice things. Um, the reality is not quite where people would put it. I've seen a lot of comments over the last month about how they're the dirtiest team in the league. Oh, they're such a dirty team. They're so dirty. So let's just look at the stats. They have 108 penalty minutes as a team, zero minor penalties in the playoffs. That's 6.21 penalty minutes per game. By comparison, San Jose has 185 penalty minutes, Carolina 127, Colorado 120, Vegas had 112. I put up 107 just to take off those 5 for Cody Eakin for Vegas fans who aren't happy. And St. Louis has 104. Now, for the dirtiest team in history, I know, right? Anyways, 51 minor penalties and 3 bench minors. So those are for your guy chirping from the bench that the ref says you're going to the box, or for your too many men on the ice penalties. So, well, I guess with bench minor, I guess rather than being the player, that's when the coach is chirping at the referee. And Bruce Cassidy is a little less likely to do it, a little more relaxed than a lot of coaches. Anyways, let's look at the numbers. Marchand, he's the lightning rod, right? 7 goals and 11 assists in these playoffs. He has 10 penalty minutes, and he has 8 hits. He's only thrown 8 hits in 17 games. So, and I'll get to it. We'll get there. We'll get there. Because I understand there are incidents that people want to talk about. I better throw that one up there too, because if I don't. Pastrnak, 7 goals, 8 assists for him, 4 penalty minutes, 24 hits. He's hit 3 times more than has Brad Marchand. Krejci, 4 goals, 10 assists for him, 6 penalty minutes, 13 hits. Bergeron, 8 goals, 5 assists, 12 penalty minutes, 23 hits. 12 penalty minutes seems really high, doesn't it? For this team, anyways. Charlie Coyle, 6 goals, 6 assists, 10 penalty minutes, and 44 hits. A lot of hits thrown by Coyle. I haven't seen anybody say that Coyle's necessarily the nasty, dirty, horrible, we hate him guy, and yet he is tied for the most hits by anybody on the Boston Bruins. And I thought hits was a good indicator, because usually what we get mad about after a game is a hit that we look at and go, that was a little over the line, wasn't it? Krug, 1 goal, 11 assists. He had 8 penalty minutes. I think all of them were against Justin Williams from the way that last 2 games went. 24 hits for Krug. He's becoming more physical, in my eyes anyways, as his experience and his confidence grow. Marcus Johansson, 3 goals, 6 assists. Nothing. 0 penalty minutes. 13 hits. 0 penalty minutes. DeBrusk, 3 goals, 4 assists, 6 penalty minutes. And he has 15 hits in these playoffs. Less than a hit a game. I think if anybody ever says, oh, we should pick up Jake DeBrusk, we need a good physical forward, I think they're going to be disappointed. He really is not a physical player. He is more of a skill guy than a physical player. Matt Grzelcyk, 3 goals, 4 assists, also has 6 penalty minutes, also 15 hits. Heinen, 2 goals, 5 assists for him, 0 penalty minutes, and 16 hits. 16. So he has twice as many hits as does Marchand, just as an example. Backus, McAvoy first. 1 goal, 6 assists, 12 penalty minutes, and 31 hits. McAvoy, one of the more physical blue liners, and yet it's not even 2 a game. It's not. Backus, 2 goals, 3 assists. He has 2 penalty minutes and 33 hits. I'm actually surprised at Backus not having more penalty minutes, to be honest. During the season, he had his share. Corrali, 2 goals, 3 assists, 4 penalty minutes, and 28 hits. Corrali, pretty physical guy for the Bruins anyways. Nordstrom, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 penalty minutes, 42 hits. He has embraced his role as bottom 6/4th liner for the Boston Bruins, and he's done well this year. Zdeno Chara, 1 goal, 2 assists, 10 penalty minutes, and 42 hits. I've said for a long time, I'll say it again with Chara, because he's so much bigger than everybody else, when he throws a hit, when he's in a scrum, he looks like a bully. He's a foot taller than some of these guys. He's going to look like a bully when he's in throwing punches or whatever he's doing, he's going to look like a bully. He is incredibly strong. If he wants to knock a guy out, he does. Clifton, 1 goal, 2 assists, 2 penalty minutes, and 19 hits. I love Connor Clifton. Fantastic young player. Wagner, 2 goals, 2 penalty minutes, 44 hits. This is why when Wagner got hurt and they had to put in Chara, I said, well, that's fine. Chara's got a goal and an assist, no penalty minutes, and 41 hits. So these guys have thrown a combined 85 hits and received 1 penalty out of everything they've done in these playoffs. Not just physical, these guys, but clean about it. And Noel Acciari, one of my favorite bottom 6 guys in the league. Kuhlman, 2 assists, no penalty minutes, and 6 hits. Brandon Carlo, 2 assists in these penalty minutes, 2 assists in these playoffs, 4 penalty minutes, easy for me to say, and 23 hits. Steven Kampfer, in limited appearances, 1 goal, no penalty minutes, 4 hits. And Moore, who stepped in last night for Chara, no points, no penalty minutes, a grand total of 2 hits. And I believe 4 games played. And there's the dirtiest team in the league. Dirtiest team in history. Team everybody hates. And I get it, but here I broke it down over here too. They've got 510 hits in 17 games played. 30 hits per game. Carolina, 521 hits in 15 games, 34.7 hits per game. San Jose's at 30.8, so San Jose's more physical. St. Louis is at 29.3. Columbus had 37.4 hits per game. They hit everything. Colorado, 29.6 hits per game. The Islanders had 41.2. And Vegas, 46.5, because it's what Vegas does. Well, more exact, it's what Carrier and Reeves do. They hit absolutely everything that moves. So, again, and it seems to be some incidents. So this Chara punches Tavares. Why isn't that a suspension? I remember they showed that to Brian Burke, and Burke's response was basically a chuckle and saying, that's not a full-on punch by Chara. If that was a full-on punch by Chara, Tavares is out. And I don't disagree. And again, it's that visual. When you've got a guy who's looking down at other people and he's punching down, it looks bad. If it's 2 guys in a scrum and they're the same height, like for instance in that series against Carolina, Justin Williams punches Backus in a scrum. I didn't talk about it. The media did. I didn't talk about it because I went, it happens in a scrum. Man, you go back to the 80s, the 90s, this is standard. You'd see guys throwing punches all the time. And I remember talking to friends of mine joking around about, man, did you see that sucker punch that guy threw? That was nasty. And we would joke around about it. There was never any talk of, he should be suspended. That should have been 5 in a game. The guy should have been thrown in the penalty box. But I think where we get caught up is when it's a team we don't like, we'll say that should be a suspension rather than they missed a penalty there. There's the DeBrusque knee. And I'm sorry, I know Toronto fans are still salty about that, but honestly, it's a collision. And I've looked at it, it's just a collision. So I understand why the NHL didn't do anything with that. McAvoy's hit on Josh Anderson gets thrown as, McAvoy's a dirty player. He really isn't. And he was suspended. The NHL suspended him 1 game, which is the equivalent of a lot more games during the regular season. Every playoff game is very important. So the NHL looked at that hit and said it wasn't acceptable. I agreed. And the suspension was fair. 1 game in the conference final is massive for your team. The thing with Boston is they can afford to lose a guy here and there. If they really wanted to play dirty and guys get suspended, they've got players that can jump in. If anything's been revealed this year, it's been just how solid this franchise is at having players that can step in, having that depth. The Marchand Rabbit punch, the stick stomp, these are penalties. They're not suspendable. They're not suspensions. So they're your standard penalty, and it happens in every game. I've discussed as a joke tracking the amount of penalties I see in a game that don't get called. I think next season, when I do like a game of the night kind of thing, I'm going to start doing that. And just objectively look and go, okay, that's cross-check, that's interference, that's this, that's that. And then at the end of the night, go, hey, here's how many penalties were missed. It's a fast game. And it's one where, referees have a really, really thankless job. There's any one thing that I've learned in the this is the fourth playoffs now that I've done with this channel. Referees, worst job in the world. Any given night you could just be out. And you're gone. You're out of work. And no matter what you do, fans will boo you. They might throw stuff at you. They're going to yell at you. And you don't get paid anywhere near what the players on the ice are getting paid. And yet you're in charge of it. And if everything goes right, nobody gives you credit. There's never been a night that I can think of that referees left the ice and fans are yelling down, "We love you, ref! You called the game great! That was amazing!" And as I've mentioned before, I've never seen a situation where a guy's going to the penalty box saying to the referee, that was great. I totally slashed him. I thought you didn't see it. You saw it. That's great. And the coach is yelling from the bench, "Good call, ref. Good call." That was great. Our guy totally deserved that. Hope we can kill this penalty. If we can't, no hard feelings. We still on after the game for a beer, and this is like our sixth penalty, but I can't blame you for my team's lack of discipline. Why would we blame the referee? And again, if it's 6 penalties against a home team, the fans are all chanting, "We love the ref." That doesn't happen. So with what Marchand's done, he really hasn't done anything in the playoffs that's suspendable. Last year we had the licking, which I didn't know how you suspend him for licking people. I just knew it was wrong and he needed to be suspended. And Marchand in last year's playoffs was way more over the top than he has been this year. And when he's acting that way, the rabbit punch, the stick stomp, it's because of reasons. They were losing was the rabbit punch. The reason he steps on Atkinson's stick is because Atkinson had a stick between his feet. My guess is he's like, "Get your stick out of there." Guy didn't, so he's all right. Done. Same thing you do in a schoolyard. You don't want to lose that. You might want to get it out of my feet. All right. Done. And if it wasn't Marchand, everybody would have laughed it off. But because it's Brad Marchand, everybody goes, "Kill him! Get your pitchforks!" Now, for people who are going to look at this and go, "They're still the dirtiest team ever." Let's look at the 2011 Boston Bruins that won the Stanley Cup. Penalty minutes, Milan Lucic, 63. Brad Marchand, 40. He has 10 this year. He had 40 in 2011. Andrew Ference, 37. Nathan Horton, 35. And of course, the Stanley Cup final turned on Nathan Horton being drilled by Aaron Rome, which was a suspension, which I still don't... as a fan of both teams, I looked at that and I went, I don't know how much of a suspension that should have been, but it fired up the Bruins. Nathan Horton being taken to the hospital absolutely fired up the Bruins and was a big part of the reason they won that series. Zdeno Chara, 34 penalty minutes. It's Dennis Seidenberg, 31. Patrice Bergeron, 28. And Sean Thornton with 24. So this is a team with Milan Lucic, Sean Thornton, and I see people pointing out, pointing to these guys and saying, it's the dirtiest team I've ever seen. Welcome to hockey. Because I could put up stats on the dirtiest team in the league, and this team, it's just not there. And I don't necessarily just mean now. I mean just overall, there are plenty of teams from back in the day that it'll be interesting to see what happens, because Columbus, honestly, through the first 3 games in their series against Boston, their physicality was taking Boston out, and then Boston from game 4 through 6. Said, nope, we're going to the next round, and they've won 7 in a row. And they have done it while being out-hit. They have done it while being outplayed in some areas, but they're special teams. It's power play, it's the penalty kill, got them past Carolina. The penalty kill got them past Columbus. 5-on-5, this team is very even with other teams. It's when the special teams, that first line shows up, and they win the game for them. So there you go. Just a look at the 2019 Eastern Conference champion Boston Bruins. And for people who go, he just jinxed Boston. Yeah, I intend to do the same kind of thing for either San Jose or St. Louis, whoever wins out of the West. There will be no jinxing here, and I won't be accused of it. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as people will. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And hey, I understand why people have the opinions that they do. I get it. But for me, this team has really been really pretty clean about it. Far more, I would say, than the team in 2011. I could have put up stats from the team in 2013. I know that they would have had more penalty minutes than this bunch as well. This is very, very much, and I've been saying this the whole playoffs, this is a finesse team. If they had any jersey on other than Boston Bruins, if this was the Buffalo Sabres putting up these numbers, everybody'd say what a great team the Sabres are. Because it's the Bruins, there's a natural bent that people have towards hating them, which I understand, but yeah, I can't partake for obvious reasons. Thank you guys so much for watching. Channel growth's been amazing. Thank you guys for all your support and getting me there, and I'll talk to you again soon.